Before I begin, thank you all so much for 5,000 subscribers. Here's a special video for you. Enjoy.
Well, you read the title and you clicked on the video. Thank you for that. I very much appreciate it. Now, I want to make this one thing very, very clear. I do not now, nor do I ever expect to have the money, the knowledge, and the social status required to make such a purchase. But I can dream. And in my dreams, I am the owner of this amazing theme park behind me. And as owner, there's a lot of changes that I would make. Some of which are going to be controversial, I know. But this is my video, and therefore my rules. If you have your own ideas that you think are better, feel free to leave them in the comments, or if you have the knowledge, make your own video. I'd love to see it. So, join me, friends, as today I will tell you about all the changes I would make to my home park if I owned California's Great America. Let's get it.
But first, if you like drum covers, you'll love my other channel, Home Plate Drums, which just so happens to be my main channel these days. Make sure you subscribe to me, and also don't forget to follow me over on Twitch. California's Great America, along with her twin in Gurnee, Illinois, both opened up in 1976 as Marriott's Great America. They would remain as such until 1984, when the Marriott Company decided to sell both parks. Illinois' Great America ended up going to Six Flags, and it has been Six Flags Great America ever since. However, here in California, our park was sold to the city of Santa Clara, and would be known simply as Great America, until 1993, when Paramount Parks took over operations, and the park was then known as Paramount's Great America. Flash forward to 2006, and Cedar Fair buys out Paramount Parks, and now the park is known as California's Great America, and it's been that way ever since. Now flash forward again, this time to 2022, and Cedar Fair drops an absolute bomb on all of us by announcing that the land that California's Great America sits on has been sold to a Bay Area company called Prologis, and that Great America would be closing for good by latest 2033. Now see, as somebody who has had a dream ever since I was a little kid to own my own theme park one day, I don't want to lose Great America anytime soon. So, veterans of the channel, you may recall my multitude of theme park creations in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and Planet Coaster. Well, I've put those skills to use to come up with a creative plan on how to save Great America. I don't expect anything to materialistically come out of this video, but it's fun to dream of what could be in my fantasy world. And so, with that being said, let's begin. My first move as owner, and I'm gonna get yelled at for this, but it would actually be to relocate Great America out of Santa Clara. Now, I can already hear you screaming at me, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Are you insane?" Well, no, people, I am not insane, and to prove it, just take a look at the surrounding areas around California's Great America. Do you see any room for expansion? Anything? Nothing? No? Well, that's because there is no room for expansion. You got buildings over here on this side of the park, you've got the creek over here on this side of the park, and no, I'm not even going to dare touch the backstage area, because that is pretty much required for the likes of maintenance and HR and anything else that might be a backstage thing. So moving Great America out of Santa Clara is kind of a necessity in order to make the park bigger and better. And luckily, not that far away, in fact it's about a 10 to 12 mile difference, here in Fremont, California, you've got this plot of land, which is close by to the Pacific Commons Shopping Center, which is this. Features the likes of Lowe's, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods. There's a Costco here. There's a Kohl's and other stuff as well. But let's not worry about that now. This is the plot of land in particular that I am looking at. Using Google Maps and Photoshop, I was able to test out whether or not Great America would fit on this plot of land as it is right now. Water park, main park, backstage, the picnic grove, everything. And it fits, and then some, which is a really good thing because it means that if Great America was on this plot of land, there would be room for expansion. Now, just for the record, I did also consider the idea of possibly moving Great America to the Alameda County Fairgrounds in Pleasanton, but then I also have to remember that the Alameda County Fairgrounds are pretty busy every year with various events, including the Alameda County Fair, which is always a huge draw. So, despite it fitting, I don't want to mess around with the fairgrounds. Also, not that far away from this area in Fremont is the Warm Springs BART station. BART standing for Bay Area Rapid Transit. I have visions of a monorail station that will go from that station all the way to the front gates of the park. Another major move I would make is rebranding and renaming the park. Over the years, Great America has slowly been fading away from the whole America aspect of the park. You got South Bay Shores, you got NorCal County Fair. The only lands in the park right now that truly are themed to America are Orleans Place and the All-American Corners. As owner, I would continue that trend all throughout the park. The entire park would now be themed to Northern California, one way or another. And so the name Great America is just no longer appropriate. And my new name for the park would be California's Golden Valley. So now let's talk about the rides. Almost all of them would make the move from Santa Clara to Fremont, and pretty much all of them would get rethemed and renamed as well. Starting things off, we've got the magnificent Carousel Columbia, or as those in Gurnee, Illinois know it, Columbia Carousel. This ride is the icon of the park. Why on earth would I completely get rid of it? Spoiler alert, I wouldn't. But I would retheme and rename it to be the California Carousel. Most of the horses would stick around, but the rest of the animals would be ones that are native to or associated with Northern California, like deer, turkeys, mountain lions, wolves, and of course the animal on our state flag, the grizzly bear. The building would also get repainted with the exact colors of the California flag. Star Tower is another ride that was around during the Marriott era, so of course it's gotta stay. However, I would be retheming the entire ride to clouds, and therefore the ride would be known as Cloud Tower. Fun fact, when I was making Mario-themed parks in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, I had an observation tower under the same exact name. That building on the other side of Gold Striker is the Pictorium Theater. It was once the world's largest IMAX screen. Unfortunately, the theater closed in 2001, and now the building just stands there, unused. Traditionalists, I am sorry, but my plans do not involve building a new Pictorium in Fremont. They do, however, involve a brand new shoot-'em-up dark ride similar to that of Toy Story Mania to be in that very spot of the park. And this ride would be themed to a YouTube animated series that the internet is absolutely obsessed with, myself included. Can I make it happen? I don't know, probably not, but it's a dream. And that series is The Amazing Digital Circus. Okay, so maybe not everything about this park is themed to Northern California, but the bulk of it is, so stop yelling at me. The success of The Amazing Digital Circus is undeniable. I mean, let's be real here. What Gooseworks and Glitch Productions have done with this little project, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I can only hope that they would not take this the wrong way, because I mean no ill intent by suggesting such an idea. Okay, so those are the 3 rides that would make up the front of the park, which would now be known as Carousel Square. So, in recap, we've got the California Carousel, Cloud Tower, and a dark ride themed to the amazing Digital Circus. And now we move on to what is currently Hometown Square, but would be renamed as Fremont Boulevard. First up, I need to talk about Gold Striker. I want you all to know I have absolutely 0 plans on ever getting rid of this coaster. However, the plans I do have require that it moves to another part of the park. And the same goes for Celebration Swings. We'll talk about where they end up moving later on. But first, why am I moving these rides around? Well, when the Marriott Great Americas opened in 1976, both parks featured a train ride around the entire park, known as the Great America Scenic Railway. Gurney still has theirs, but ours was removed after the 1999 season. I don't like that at all, because I'm a huge fan of trains. So as owner, I'm bringing the train back, baby! And a few more details on this train. First, it would be a Lincoln model from Severn Lamb. And second, the ride would retain the Scenic Railway name, but instead of being Great America, it's now obviously the Golden Valley Scenic Railway. You know, before Gold Striker, before Extreme Skyflyer, and before White Waterfalls, there once was a coaster here called Willard's Whizzer. It was eventually shortened to just the Whizzer. The Whizzer was, or is, a speed racer coaster from Anton Schwarzkopf. Man, that is a hard word to say. I'll put it on the screen here. Here in California, our Whizzer was unfortunately deleted in 1988. Gurney almost deleted theirs for Superman, but the fans said, hell no! And now the Whizzer is an Ace Coaster landmark. Bravo! Now, obviously, I can't exactly revive the Whizzer because this coaster model is no longer in production, but I can insert something new and exciting here, and I've decided to make it a Vekoma tilt coaster that, for lack of a better name, I just simply call Tilt It. You know, like Bop It, but Tilt It? I'm so unoriginal. And in case it wasn't obvious enough already, this tilt coaster does spell doom for Extreme Skyflyer. Possibly White Waterfalls as well. I'm still trying to figure out if I can insert it somewhere else in the park. Moving over to the other side of the boulevard, it's time to talk about the Patriot. This ride originally opened up in 1991 as a stand-up coaster known as Vortex. It would get converted into a floorless coaster for the 2017 season, and of course it got the new paint job and the new name. After some consideration, I've decided to keep the Patriot around, but I am struggling on picking a new name. I've got ideas like Iron Grizzly, Iron Wolf, Wild Wolf, Steel Cougar. Man, I just don't know what to pick. But for the sake of picking something for this video, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Wild Wolf. And while we are over here, you see this patch of dirt right here? Well, a Huss Troika known as Triple Play opened up in this spot with both parks in 1976. And guess what? Surprise, surprise! Gurney still has theirs. But getting back to the point, one day I found myself on the Huss Rides website and noticed that they brought back the classic Troika. And no, I am not talking about that airboat ride. No. I'm talking the real deal. The real full-size Troika. So, without question, Triple Play is coming back. But this time, I'm giving it a new name. Trifecta. And this is due to another land in this park getting themed around sports. More on that later. Now, before we move on, there's a quick note I want to make about buildings. If I do not mention particular buildings, like say restaurants, gazebos, theaters, or even these decorative buildings like in front of Patriot here, please assume that they are going to stay as part of the park. Because quite frankly, they are. They might get a fresh new look to better fit the new theme of the land, but they are not going anywhere. They are going to stay as part of the park. It's only the rides that I'm going to tinker around, move around, or get rid of. Just know that. And also, the 3-point challenge is not going anywhere. But I do have one more ride I want to talk about, but to talk about it, I need to talk about Railblazer. Now, I'm going to get yelled at this. There's just no getting around it. But please, before you just absolutely assault me, hear me out. Alright? The plans I have involve shipping Railblazer off to another park. I don't care what park, just get it out of here. And the reason, hold up now, is because I have plans for an even longer custom RMC Raptor layout that would go into another part of the park. Where they're going to go, you will see in due time. So please have a little patience. Now, by shipping out Railblazer, it frees up this little area that the coaster used to occupy for me to insert a Gerstlauer polyp that I call Drum Solo. As a drummer, I wanted to incorporate my love of drumming into at least one ride in this park, and I feel like the polyp is the perfect ride to do so. The ride vehicles would be snare drums, and there would be a drum set on top of the middle section of the ride. Don't forget to subscribe to my other channel, Home Plate Drums, and also follow me on Twitch. Actually, wait, hold up. Better idea. We're going to put Drum Solo where White Waterfalls currently is, and this leaves the space that Railblazer used to occupy for another kind of coaster. More on that in just a moment. So anyways, that is the ride lineup for Fremont Boulevard, formerly Hometown Square. So in recap, Celebration Swings will move to another part of the park, same with Gold Striker, and the Golden Valley Scenic Railway will take over where Celebration Swings currently is. Patriot becomes Wild Wolf. A Huss Troika known as Trifecta comes in and fills in this gap right over here. We got Tilted, a Vekoma tilt coaster, taken over for Extreme Skyflyer and White Waterfalls. And we also have Drum Solo taking over for White Waterfalls. And yeah, that's the land. So let's move on to the next one. Over the bridge we go into what is currently the NorCal County Fair. The new theme for this land is going to be the various harvest festivals of Northern California. Therefore, the land will now be known as the Harvest Festival. Pretty natural, right? So first up, let's talk about the replacement coaster for Railblazer. I've always had the idea of having a family coaster here, but lately I've been going back and forth on two different models, trying to figure out just which one to go with. I've been going back and forth between a Vekoma family coaster or an RMC Wild Moose. You guys do not know just how much I've gone back and forth between these two options. Like, do I go with Vekoma? Do I go with RMC? I know they haven't sold any Wild Moose coasters yet. Or do I just go with Vekoma, the easier option? Or is it easier? I have no idea. But the decision has been made, and that decision is Vekoma. And this coaster would be themed to asparagus. Therefore, the ride is called Asparagus Missile. I don't know how I came up with that name, but I did. Okay, next. In the shadows of the demon stands a Schwarzkopf barren curve known as Berserker. A 1976 original, it was formerly known as Yukon Yahoo, and was situated in this general area inside Planet Snoopy. This is also one of 3 rides here in Santa Clara that we can claim that we still have, but Gurney can't. Wait, hold up, I'm wrong. It's actually 4 rides, but the 4th ride is a kiddie ride, so take that for what you will. The past few trips I've made to Great America, this ride's unfortunately been closed, which sucks for people like me because I love this ride, and I want to keep it around. And the new name would be Craft Barn Blazer. But is it realistic to keep such an old ride going when it isn't even made anymore? I mean, I don't even know what I would put in this place if I had to get rid of it. I have legitimately no idea. And to make matters worse, as of right now, 2024, there's only 5 of these rides still open, with a 6th one coming being reconstructed by 2 separate rides being combined as one. So, man, I don't know what to do here. Okay, so I mentioned the Demon just a moment ago, and now it's time to talk about it. This ride is also a 1976 original, but it wasn't always the Demon. In fact, it originally opened up as Turn of the Century, with just hills in place of the 2 vertical loops and the tunnel. The Demon didn't come around until 1980. This coaster is an aerodynamics coaster, and anyone who knows that aero is D-E-D, dead. In the past several months, I've heard a lot of rumors coming out of Gurney that their Demon's days might be numbered. And I would hate to think the same thing for our Demon. I mean, it is the oldest coaster in the park after all. Now, I know that the Loch Ness Monster recently went through a huge renovation that featured Vekoma retracking a lot of the ride. So I wonder, could they do the same thing for Demon? Or am I just overthinking this? Or should I replace it with probably a B&M sitting coaster, similar to that of Kumba? Either way, as owner, the Demon moniker is no more. And this ride would now be themed after a childhood favorite toy of mine, K'NEX. And the ride would be called the Screamin' Serpent, a reference to the K'NEX coaster of the same name. Of course, if I can't pull off this re-theme, I could always just call the ride the Serpent, but I would highly prefer to honor the toy that in my childhood helped to sculpt the person I am today. Our next order of business takes us to this empty patch of grass, which was once home to 2 separate rides. The first was an Intamin triple Ferris wheel known as Skywhirl. It would eventually get renamed Triple Wheel, and was even featured in the movie Beverly Hills Cop 3. Along with the rest of Great America, of course. Unfortunately, this ride closed in 1997 and got replaced by an inverted boomerang called Invertigo. And you guessed it, Invertigo is no longer there either. So yeah, this plot of land has sat empty ever since Invertigo left the park, but at least I know what I want to put here. And that ride is a Mondial Windseeker that I call Skyflyer. And funny enough, that name also comes from my Mario Parks in RCT3 when I was using a custom flat ride, as they are called, that somebody made of Windseeker. I colored it after Yoshi, and the ride was named Yoshi Skyflyer. So just take out the word Yoshi and you've got the name of this ride. The next 2 rides we're going to talk about are Grizzly and Barney Oldfield. First, it's no secret that the Grizzly is often considered one of the worst, if not the worst, wooden roller coaster in all of America, or even the world. So it should come as no shock that this bear is going to be put to bed. But I have also decided not to RMC this ride, for I have a better idea in mind. You will learn more about that idea in just a moment. As for Barney Oldfield, I've decided to swap out the gas-powered cars for electric ones from Chance Rides, but they will not be in this part of the park. More on that later on. So, with both of these rides not in this area anymore, what am I going to put here? Well, for one, I've decided on putting up a Bertazon Matterhorn, otherwise known as a Flying Bob's ride, that I call the Swinging Pumpkins. So basically, this ride is themed to pumpkins, both in general, but also features this really cool thing called the Singing Pumpkins. These are animations from this guy, John, otherwise known as J Pumpkin King, here on YouTube. The pumpkin animations you'll find on his channel are ones that you can actually buy and project onto your own pumpkins. So if you want to add a little extra flair to your Halloween setup this year, go check them out. You won't be disappointed. And John, If you ever see this, I pray you would be okay with this. I mean, absolutely no ill intent. I just really love your work, dude. I should also mention that I have plans to put this ride right about here, where Barney Oldfield currently stands. Now, when it comes to Grizzly's replacement, I've chosen to have it be that longer custom RMC Raptor that I was talking about a few moments ago. And, if possible, I'm thinking of having it be a racing coaster, kind of akin to West Coast Racers, or even Twisted Colossus at Magic Mountain. As for a theme for this coaster, I've got something really unique in mind, slot cars, and I am totally stealing this ride's name from Mario Party. May I present to you, Slot Car Derby. Okay, so a quick side note here, I was originally going to put this ride where Rip Roaring Rapids are currently, and I was going to put a Batman clone over here where Grizzly is. But things happened, and I just ultimately made the decision to swap the ideas, and now the Batman clone's going to go where Rip Roaring Rapids is, spoiler alert, I guess, and the RMC Raptor goes here where Grizzly is. Okay? Okay, moving on. It's not on Google Maps Globe View yet, but next up is the newest ride in the park, Pacific Gliders. This Zamperla Windstars ride came in as part of County Fair's transformation into NorCal County Fair. So with it being the newest ride in the park, I don't see a reason to get rid of it. I just wish I could swap this ride out for a Zamperla balloon race, but that ride is no longer listed on their website, so it seems that they don't make it anymore. It's really a shame because I like that ride. Anyways, the new theme for this ride, whether it be the balloon race or the Windstars, would be Papercraft, as if the ride was made out of paper. So if it's Pacific Gliders, the new name is Papercraft Gliders, or if it ends up being a balloon race, the name would be Papercraft Balloons. Standing at 224 feet tall, Drop Tower is currently the tallest ride in the park. But it's not going to be for much longer, for Skyflyer would eclipse that height, but another new ride that I have yet to talk about would also be taller. That ride will be talked about near the end of this entire project, so stay tuned. I have decided to keep this ride, but I don't know if I should move it to another land or keep it right where it is. I mean, with its current color scheme, it would fit so much better in another land. But, man, I just don't know what to do. This is really tough. But if anything, at least I'm keeping the ride, so take that for what you will. Moving right along, we got one of my favorite rides in the park, Tiki Twirl. I very much want to keep this ride, but it irks me that ever since I got my season pass last November, I've yet to get a ride in on this disco coaster. I have been on Shockwave down at the boardwalk, and for some reason I felt like I enjoyed the regular half-pipe disco more than I did the disco coaster. But with Tiki Twirl not open, I can't really compare the two accurately, so it's just annoying. Plus, there's one thing I'm wondering about Tiki Twirl. Like, is it going to interfere with the railroad? Because here's the station in the Harvest Festival, right? Right here is currently the queue house for Psycho Mouse. And let's see, the tracks would be right about here in this little like green patch between the go-karts and the concrete here. So let's go straight, let's go straight, let's go straight. I mean, it looks like it wouldn't interfere, but if it does, then I would obviously have to replace it with a traditional half-pipe disco. But yeah, that's the only concern I have. So anyways, let's talk about a new theme for this ride. I've chosen for it to be just like a regular Frisbee because, well, the ride platform itself kind of resembles a Frisbee, so there's your new name, Frisbee. There is absolutely no way I am ever getting rid of Delta Flyer and Eagles Flight, but I am going to give both ends of this 1976 original the same basic name, with each end referencing the land that they are in. So in the case of this end, Eagle's Flight, it'll now be known as the Festival Skyliner. And to avoid any more spoilers, I will talk about the Delta Flyer end when I get to it. If I've heard correctly, Psycho Mouse is the last Wild Mouse coaster to ever be built by Aerodynamics. So for that reason alone, I feel it's appropriate to keep it going. But of course, with the Scenic Railway back, it's gotta move around. I'll talk about where it ends up in the next video in this series. And I should also mention that the same thing would go for the Thunder Raceway go-karts. But in doing so, this also frees up a huge plot of land here that I could put down another new ride. And I've chosen for that new ride to be a Chance Rides freestyle that I call Apple Pie. The shape of this ride just kind of reminds me of a pie for some reason. So I ran with it. And please don't ask me what made me choose apple pie for this ride. I just don't know. The last ride in this land to talk about is yet another 76 OG, Centrifuge. It originally opened up as Fiddler's Fling, where in Gurney it still has its original name. For a retheme, I've chosen to give this ride the new name of Shopping Spree, because after all, you do a lot of shopping at Harvest Festivals, so it just makes complete sense to me. And that's the Harvest Festival. So in recap, we've got a Vekoma family coaster called Asparagus Missile taking over for Railblazer, Berserker becomes Craft Barn Blazer, Demon either stays or becomes the B&M sitting coaster, each ride with the new name of Screamin' Serpent, a Mondial Windseeker called Skyflyer comes in at this spot, Barney Oldfield becomes an electric car ride elsewhere in the park, a Bertazon Matterhorn called the Swinging Pumpkins comes in that spot, Pacific Gliders becomes Papercraft Gliders, or we get a Zamperla balloon race called Papercraft Balloons. Grizzly is removed and replaced with a new RMC Raptor called Slot Car Derby. Drop Tower probably moves out of the land into another part of the park. Tiki Twirl becomes Frisbee. Eagle's Flight becomes the Festival Skyliner. Psycho Mouse and the go-karts are moving to other areas in the park, with a Chance Rides freestyle called Apple Pie taking over for the go-karts. And Centrifuge becomes Shopping Spree.
Well folks, that's going to do it for this video. I'm just about out of time. But I did make some good headway here, talking about roughly half of the park. So in the next video, which should be the final part of this series, I'll be talking about the other half of the park and the changes that I would make. Hope you're all looking forward to it. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the like button. And do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Make sure to subscribe to my other channel, Home Plate Drums. Follow me on Twitch as well, and all that fancy stuff. And I'll see you in part 2. Stay safe and stay awesome. You have a great rest of your day, and I'll wait. I can't even get my words right now. I'll see you in part 2. Take care, everybody.